So let's talk a little bit about what I do. I work for Esri, and I'll be talking a little bit about AEDs and how to maintain their information within the space accurate. So what are we talking about? We're talking about this kind of devices that will be inside the buildings, on the south side of the buildings, on specific locations throughout the cities. So there is quite a lot of spaces where they are represented and where they appear. So to guarantee that you have those equipments properly represented throughout the space, where a PSAP have a view of where they are and can help someone to support a person in need directly, they need to be able to see where they are first, need to see where the person is secondly, and third, they need to provide information about how to reach the equipment as fast as possible. Everyone knows why those equipments are needed, because the time to react in an incident, a cardiac incident, is paramount to the survival of the person. So one of the equipments or one of the tools that you probably need is a GIS. And what is a GIS? It's a system for managing and exploiting geographic information. So it's nothing more than that. So it's a tool that allows you to see where things are in the space and in time. So one of the things that everyone talked about with the PSAPs is how to put people in the field, provide information to guarantee that the equipment, the vehicle, can go from point A to point B to support a specific incident. So for that, in reality, you need something that you call a geographical infrastructure. In most CAD systems, it's basically a map where you can provide specific GIS tools, like routing, like localization, and so on and so forth. But for all of that to work, we need to guarantee that we have three main systems: what we call a system of records, what we call a system of insights, and what we call a system of engagement. So we need to guarantee that we have information, basic information, that is registered in the system. So we need to know the streets. We need to know the numbers of the doors of the streets. We need to know the points of interest throughout the space. And points of interest for everyone is almost anything. There are places where you don't have street names, where you don't have door names. So you need points of interest to guarantee that you can localize anyone. Then you need to be able to engage, provide information to the people that needs to go to a specific place and back. Being those ambulances, being those fire trucks, being those police, being those the person that is supporting someone in the space that needs to go to AED. And finally, you need to be able to analyze the information so you can infer where to best locate those AEDs in the future. So you need to locate all the AEDs. You need to guarantee that after a certain time, you'll be able to relocate those AEDs to guarantee that they are more useful and in more appropriate places to support incidents. So this gives you a general idea of all of those systems. To guarantee that we enable public safety, we need to guarantee that we are able to gather information. We need to guarantee that we have that information in infrastructure that provides information to everyone. Sorry. And you need to build the information based on several steps. So you need to provide information about the AEDs on the general space. You need to provide that information going down until you get to the specific building and the interior of that building. So you need to guarantee that you have all that information. The main question is, in most situations, if you look at the maps that the CAD systems have, are very basic. They are normally on the LO2 or LO3 situation. So the interiors of the buildings are normally not characterized in any CAD system. So the CAD system to support all of this, including the interiors of the buildings, where some of the incidents happen, needs to be adapted and restructured. So what we need to build? We need to build a digital twin of the AED's positions throughout the space. And the space is easily mapped in a city, is not easily mapped outside of the cities of the spaces. So we provide a couple of tools that will allow to A, register and locate the AEDs, B, provide information about the quality or the status of the AED, and provide information to the teams that needs to replace those AEDs when they are used or they get to the end of their life cycle. And we need to be able to report that information. Report that information to guarantee what? To guarantee that you are able to provide to the person assisting an invalid person, a person that is under cardiac arrest, a cardiac incident, how to navigate inside the building, how to navigate outside the building in the streets, to gather that AED, to get to that AED and back. So we need to provide those reports, we need to provide that information, navigation information to everyone. And that's about it. So questions, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, please.
Modern technology should enable us to have a system that will show a defect being taken out of a cupboard or a defect being used and has to be replaced. How do we get more pressure on the manufacturers to do that? One or two of them are doing it, but it seems to be a big gulf that shows information.
So first of all, it will be up to the government entities to provide rules. So that's the first one. Because without rules, you cannot force anyone to do whatever. That's the first. And that thing will imply two different things. One is which equipment needs to be placed where. And secondly, who maintain those equipments. Those equipments can be used or not. If they are used, the person and the first responder that gets there, and that's my opinion, just my opinion, needs to be able to provide information to the main system, indicating that the AED was used, it needs to be replaced. Or, secondly, there will be maintenance support from the provider to guarantee that those equipments are up to standard to be used. And that's basically through that. So there needs to be rules and government rules on where to put those equipments, how to maintain those equipments, and how to answer if those equipments are moved and or used. And you need to guarantee that you have teams, persons available to verify all of that. So there is another layer of information that needs to be gathered and pushed through the system constantly. So my main concern on these equipments is that they will be installed somewhere, because it will be said that a major mall will need to have 5 AEDs for some reason, the number of people that visit the mall, the number of previous incidents in the mall. There will be no major rules that I'm aware, stating where those equipments needs to be placed. And you probably heard in the morning session information about how is planned to be calculated where those equipments needs to be. And then they will be located there, and there will be no rules whatsoever to maintain those equipments. That's my first feeling. Until the time where a major incident occurs, they'll try to get to equipment, and the equipment is not there or is used and so invalid to reuse again. Only then, and it will be 1 incident, 2 incidents, 3 incidents, someone will take care of the defining of the rules to support that. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think what was going through my mind is almost the last bit you said, but actually it's going to be publicity around them being available and being used. It should be in the papers on a regular basis.
Yes.
And then when suddenly one's not available, people will start asking the questions, and that's when the political will will come to make those rules.
Yes, surely. Yes.
How about managing it like fire hydrants? You have to go out and check them regularly and make sure that they're in the United States. We have to check fire hydrants regularly in the equipment, and our fire management or computer-aided dispatch systems actually schedule those things so that they're automatically dispatched to check on those resources. Do you think that might be helpful?
I think that might hide some more of them. And currently in the UK, we only know where about 10% of them are. If we mandate checks and start getting people going out and inspecting them, people will lock them in cupboards and they'll just disappear. Until we have
Then
you've got to have them, and checking them becomes almost a moot point.
that's correct. And again, it comes back to regulation to guarantee that everyone is aware of that regulation, and there will be some fines or ways to pressure the obedience of those rules.
The one place there is rules is the international airline industry, and they ignore them.
I'm not going to dispute that. It's easier to ignore them than paying. It's easier to pay if something happens, and that's where the problem may be. Please. I'm really not aware of any place. Yeah, close. They are still closed. So that I'm aware, there is no country who has rules, laws that support the enforcement of location of those equipments first, methodologies to where to put them, rules on how to maintain them, and rules on how to support their replacement when they are used. That I'm aware, no countries. Does anyone have any idea? Please. I'm looking to the audience. Sorry about that.
I know that in Norway we do have this 113.no, which is a registry for AAPs.
Yes.
You can register it, and we integrated that into our CAN system, so they're located.
Yes.
It comes with a set of generic data. If that includes maintenance and things like that, I'm not quite sure. But it says the opening time of the mold, which you're explaining.
Yes.
Like that. So that is available for the PSATs in Norway.
And that's correct. I'm not sure, as you say, that they have any program to support the replacement of those equipments if they are used and so on and so forth. At least that I'm aware. But yes, you're right on what you say.
Two countries send like reminders saying like, your defibrillator is like 2 years old, for instance, it's time to replace whatever needs to be replaced. So there's some practices around in a few countries.
Okay, thank you.
I know in the United States
Any additional questions?
The indoor positioning.
Yes.
The fact that you might get a register that says that there is an AED on the first floor on the corridor left from the elevator.
Yep.
Might help in some situations, but if you need to guide people in-house or someone that's not a regular at that house, that in my eyes becomes a huge problem. How we get that person who's willing to use the AED to save someone's life to actually get from where they are with the people in danger to the AED and back, and I'm not sure how we get to a point where we have indoor positioning for all the houses in the first place and the floor plans, etc. In public buildings, we could get there with some regulation, but in general, it's hard for me to imagine how we get very accurate position data.
So first of all, I'm not seeing that happening because of the costs. That's the first point. Major spaces, malls, public buildings may be forced by law to provide indoor positioning and so create the network that supports beacons, etc., that will support that. And if that happens, navigation inside the building is a possibility. Until then, I'm not seeing that happening. And the question is, the price for that is too expensive. There are some projects, I'm remembering one from the Deutsche Bahn, where they are planning to use indoor systems to support all their main stations throughout Germany. The process started because they decided that security-wise the price was feasible, because it's a security question in the end of the day for their workers, for the people being transported, and so on and so forth. So that's happening. But that's one of the few examples that I know now. Some universities are implementing that specifically for indoor mapping throughout the campus, supporting the interiors of the buildings and so on and so forth, to support the security of the students, professors, and personnel. But there are not a lot of those, to be clear. And there is, again, no regulation that obliges for that, at least now. So yes, you're right. It's a difficult point to discuss. And yes, the only thing we will have is the location. The AED will be in the first or second floor near the elevator, or something like that. Will be the only possible approach at the moment, which reverts back to the example of Norway. The definition, the clear definition of the location of the AED needs to be managed clearly by an entity that receives all the information and being able to provide that to the PSAP. Otherwise, it won't happen again. So, again, looking at the example of the fire hydrants, which are not only in the US, in Europe, are enforced by the fire departments to be reviewed the status of the equipment and replacement or repairing of those equipments regularly. On the AED side, I'm not seeing anyone doing that at the moment, at least that I'm aware. Any additional questions?
Just work through the list we prepared a couple of years ago. Yes, Croatia does have legislation in place only covering public access defibrillators.
Okay. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And I'll pass the word to Ollie Blanks. Ollie.
So I recognize I'm the only thing standing between you and a cocktail, so I promise to make this as painless as possible. Do you want me to go? Huh? Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Holly Blanks. I am the Global Business Director for Pulsium. We are a public safety software company out of the United States. So we have clients all over the world. I have the incredible job of getting to learn how different public safety agencies around the world are all battling the same problems. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, regardless of what CAD company you have, a few tips and ideas on things that you can look forward to to maximize your solution. So the first thing I do when I explain what the goal should be is to stop thinking of your command and control software system as just software and start thinking of it as a unified platform. And what I mean by that is a platform not just for your command and control, but integrating it with your maps, integrating it with your PBX systems, with your cameras, with your body-worn cameras, and finding as many points and integrating those siloed solutions together so that you have that unified platform. Oh, you're right. Whoops. Let me go back. Thank you for stopping me. Can you restart it for me? Or wait, maybe I go this way. Here we go. I got it. I learned how to use the remote. Okay. So moving to the next one. So the first part is improving caller location. So you need two things to dispatch, right? You need the location of the incident, the location of the caller, and the call type. So we recommend our clients invest money in looking at different ways to improve finding one, the location of the caller, and then two, how can we better represent the location of that caller on the map? Pulsium, we work with a lot of companies that are using AML technology like Rapid SOS, as well as other companies that produce 3D maps like Global Live 3D, Geocom, and Esri. So we're able to take that two-dimensional location and add that Z coordinate and help figure out where that incident is happening. The next thing would be taking a look at your system. Normally when I visit clients or prospective clients, I am really impressed by the amount of data that they have collected over the years. But what probably 80% of them have trouble is how do they take that data and articulate it and present it in a way to different stakeholders to really show the problems that they're facing and look for resolutions and trends to improve their organization. Almost every piece of information now, even pictures, are coming in with locations. So look at ways to use that and ask your CAD company to start incorporating those sort of things into the data so that you can look at it on a map and start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. This allows our clients to understand where their community's vulnerabilities and how can they perhaps change the way that they're staffing, where are they patrolling, where do they need to put more officers or more cameras to do a better job protecting the communities they serve. And I'm going to share with you an example of one of our implementations in Mexico in Estado de Nuevo León. In Estado de Nuevo León, they have something called Arcos. So the Arcos are over all of the freeways, and they're reading the license plate of every car as it's coming in and out of the city. And in this case, wait, sorry, I didn't switch. I skipped a slide. Okay, so we're talking about analytics and entertaining the data. So we'll skip here to Estado Nuevo León. So this is a picture of the Arcos where they're reading those license plates. Those license plates are then fed into the command and control center, and they're running those plates against a stolen vehicle database. The citizens are able to report stolen vehicles via an app that is also provided to the community. So just as fast as a car is stolen, it's entered in the database, the cameras are finding that vehicle, and then they start tracking them on the map as they pass through the different cameras. then in real time, those officers in the field have a mobile application that they're using to respond and recover those vehicles. And then what they're also doing is utilizing the tools that come with our Esri GIS platform that we deploy with our systems. And they're starting to look at trends. Where are these cars being stolen? What time of day? Where are they being dropped off at? And they're starting to change the way they use their resources. Now, they've been clients for decades, and until we started rolling out the analytics part of them and teaching them how to use it, they knew the cars were being stolen, they had an idea, but they didn't have the data behind it to really back it up. So now they're able to take that mounds of data that they've been sitting on and present it to their stakeholders to get investments for more resources and whatnot to do a better job. So sharing data is something that is really important. Often a call results in participation from multiple agencies, multiple countries, states, depending upon where you're living. But public safety is really about organizations working together. And in order to do that, to work best together, we need to be able to share information easily and quickly. So there's a lot of international standards that are being written to help decide how this data should be shared so that it's easy for vendors to work together. So I encourage you to work with your CAD company to make sure they're following those standards and sharing data so you're in the best position to work with others. An example of this, oh, thank you. Boy, thank you. An example of this is in New York. In the state of New York in the United States, we have a project called the Safety Net Automated Records Exchange. This is an area in a region where a bunch of agencies have gotten together and decided that sharing data is what they need to do to decrease their crime rates and increase the arrests that are being made and closing cases. So all of these agencies are contributing together, both CAD, data from their CAD systems, their command and control systems, as well as from their records management systems. All of that information goes into one central repository, and then they're able to query it. So they're not just doing a state query or a federal query, but they're also doing a local query. So they're able to catch a lot more information quickly, and it's been a big advantage for them in the region. And then they're also able to look at the analytics side of it. How are criminals moving amongst this region across these different villages? And the users in the field have access to this information, and this is huge for them. As they pull people over, they're able to run these queries and get information that might have just happened a day before in their neighboring village, and they're able to track some of these things that the data might not have been captured and tracked at the state or national level. Does anybody here do something like that with data sharing, where you share with neighboring agencies? Sort of? Yeah? Do you find that it's easy working with others, or is it like, are the systems set up and geared to work together, or has that been a challenge?
It's a challenge. We are from EMS, medical emergency, and what we do is a real challenge. But I think there's also legislation in Slovenia that prevents more working together.
Yeah. It's a slow process.
It is.
Well, I'm happy to hear you're at least trying, though.
We all want different things from the cameras as well. We want to see the incident, the police want to see the traffic.
Yes. And can you both control the cameras? Like, is it a PTZ camera where you can both control it? Need more cameras then, I guess. Okay, so the last point that I wanted to, or two more. One of the next appointments I want to talk about was increasing situational awareness through innovative solutions. So I think one of the greatest challenges in public safety is agencies tend to buy a lot of really cool solutions, but they're not necessarily working together. And I think the job of your command and control software company is to bring those together and help bring that together as one platform. Start automating things. When you have a call in a location, pull up that camera automatically. Run those license plates from the ANPR technology that a camera can feature. So one of the things that we look to do at Pulsium is figure out how we can use technology to not just be reactive, but also preventative. And there's a lot of challenges with that, but I think as agencies start looking to ways they can use the technology, not just when they're responding, but in advance, that they really maximize the investment that they have made in that technology. So an example that I have here is from a Schenectady Police Department. It's an agency in, I'm not changing this for you, am I? Gosh, what a horrible presenter I am. So the story I wanted to share with you is from Schenectady Police Department. This is a New York Police Department, and they have body-worn cameras. How many of you have agencies here that have body-worn cameras? Yeah? Great. So we've integrated with the body-worn cameras so that the minute the cameras start recording, because we know what incident the officer is tied to, or if they start their own incident, their camera footage is automatically tied to that incident. And then we're able to go back after the fact and review that information, or other officers that are in the field that might be responding are able to monitor what is happening in real time before they arrive on site. So that's keeping the officers safer, and it's helping ensure that they get the right resources to the location in advance before someone actually having to show up on site. Is your body-worn cameras integrated with your command and control software? It's been game-changing for them in Schenectady. Okay, the last thing to talk about is just decreasing response times by automating third-party reactions. So in this case, public safety agencies, like we talked about, have a lot of siloed solutions. And in this situation, we're constantly looking for, once we have everything on that unified platform, we're able to automate a lot of things. For example, having a tightly integrated GIS system and AVLs, our officers don't have to press an arrive button. Once the geofencing, once the location knows that the officer is near where it was dispatched, it automatically changes their status to arrive. And then the officers can verify that if the agency configures their system as such. Also working with alarms, cameras, anything that we can do to automate and get more situational awareness to both the command centers for the dispatchers, call takers, and command staff, as well as people in the field on our mobile applications. Whatever is available in the command and control system is also available, if they have the security access, to the first responders in the field. So a quick story about this is in Washington County, Tennessee. Where we are we're working with Rapid SOS and alarm monitoring. And so as soon as the alarms are going off, we're receiving notifications through Rapid SOS's alarm monitoring service. It creates an incident within the command and control system, and units are dispatched. Now, keep in mind, if there's cameras or anything else at that location that is available, the officers, as they're arriving to the scene, are able to view what might be happening. What does the person who's breaking in, what are they wearing, so that if a foot chase ensues, they already have a heads up in advance of what they're looking for. So thank you so much for your time. I hope it was interesting for you. I apologize for my lack of switching slides. But Pulsium's located in Stand 12. We'll be here all week, and we'd love to hear if you have any other ideas on how to improve and maximize the investment of command and control systems. Thank you.